two things jump out at me. Footwear in North America, which of course is their biggest business, that was down 5%. Apparel was down 1%, and then their small equipment business, which I think are those awful golf clubs that they make, that actually grew by 10% here. What's going on? I thought North America was supposed to be the bright spot.
Looks like not anymore, and this is one of the areas we're seeing people sort of pull back on selectively. It's almost a quarter-to-quarter thing, and hard to know where the consumer is going exactly. But it looks in this instance like the appeal of Nike kind of wore off in the quarter to some extent, and they saw those sales decline more than people had expected them to. I thought it was interesting that the numbers in China were not as exciting as people actually were hoping for as well. So that's a further
Greater
problem
China.
for them there.
Well, footwear was down 1% in China. Apparel was up 19%. So they're buying T-shirts but not shoes.
Yeah, I guess so.
But shoes are the bread and butter of Nike, so that's a bigger issue here. What is the story with Nike and China? If we could take a step back here, I mean, part of it is, yes, Chinese consumers are turning to homegrown brands as opposed to Western brands. But is there something more where Nike didn't really hit on what the Chinese consumer wants, or is this a macro story, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a little hard to parse it, but it's interesting that the company was really bullish on China last quarter. That was a lot of the excitement out of their call from the previous quarter, and it looks like some of that excitement didn't quite pan out. One thing that some analysts were talking about is actually seeing a little bit of a shift back toward Western brands from homegrown Chinese brands. So it looks like maybe Nike is not fully benefiting from that, in the
Well, that's what I'm asking about. And we've seen some of those Chinese. I mean, that was never going to last. I mean, some of them were like pretty hideous.
Nikola Jokic would beg to differ.
Okay, whatever. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But I am curious, though, in all seriousness, about whether this is really a Nike story, meaning people are gravitating from the Nike brand to other brands, or whether this is actually a pullback and just spending on athletic wear overall.
Yeah, I mean, athletic wear, I think, had been a category that had been holding up fairly well. I think Dick's Sporting Goods and some others had seen.
But in terms of the brands, because I mean, I think we were talking a couple weeks ago about Hoka. Like when some analyst went to Central Park and he ended up was counting the number of shoes and said that I forgot what determination he came to. Something like Adidas was losing. Yeah. But the idea was that there are so many more brands now to choose from. Whether you're a serious runner or whether you're just doing it for fashion, you have a lot more options than just Nike.
Yeah, running is doing well. So there are definitely more options, and it's a tougher marketplace for them. I think in some ways that might be why they're turning their focus to, as we were talking about before, what they can control on the cost side of things, and that could be part of this cost-cutting effort that they've announced today.
How much does this align with what we've heard from Lululemon or Under Armour, the kind of narrative that is coming up with Nike, where the top line is pretty bumpy, so right now they're going to focus on margin expansion, and that's what they're laser focused on until growth comes back on the top line? Yeah,
I mean, certainly Under Armour continues to be in sort of a turnaround effort, and so they're very focused on getting their operational house in order. And Lululemon, was sort of surprisingly downbeat in their last report, and so again, I think we're seeing some of these companies try to look at again what they can control internally and sort of try to at least get on a good internal footing so that they can take advantage when the market does come back.
I thought it was interesting. Their inventory levels were down pretty significantly, in line with what the street was looking for, down 14% on a year-over-year basis. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's a positive trend that continues from the previous quarter. They were down 10%, so that's accelerating.
Because we were talking earlier about just anecdotally the idea that we were starting to see a lot more discounts out of Nike.
There's some Air Jordans on sale on the website.
So this is what Scarlett's been looking at. I think she's bought like 12 things.
Well, there you go. But I think part of what people are looking for with the inventory declines is that they want to see them clear out some of the older, less popular items and be able to sell more of the higher price stuff.